remember, if you ever see something like this, back off. Don't try to be a hero. Give the officers plenty of room. And again, we see this time and time again, and people ask, why do they run? Because they can, and sometimes they get away. In fact, in the city of Los Angeles, on average, 18% of those being pursued are able to evade police, many on motorcycles. Some of those, however, though, Steve and Lisa, are situations where the police, law enforcement decides to pull off because of the danger to the public. Los Angeles leads the state in injuries, in fact, leads the nation in injuries to innocent people because of pursuits. So they try to be as careful as possible. That's absolutely right. Yeah, if you see some, it certainly is. It almost looks like some sort of procession, right? That's what when I first saw it, you could see 35 miles an hour tops, maybe 30, 25 at times, just making his way. The suspect, we believe it's a male suspect. Unclear if anybody else is in the automobile or if it's just being driven by the one alleged carjacking suspect. There's some kids on the sidewalk there, too. Yeah, I've read about that as well, Lisa, and covering so many of these up here over the years. Yeah, I've seen some tragic ones, and a lot that are conducted in a way that they are brought to an end safely. There's only so much they can do in certain situations, especially when it's high speeds through residential areas. This one being a slow speed chase down Century Boulevard, and now approaching LAX, passing the new stadium that will be the future home to the Rams and the Chargers by the Forum here. A construction zone here, which would, in a situation, if this was a higher speed pursuit, cause some issues as well. But single file here, single lane on westbound Century Boulevard, approaching LAX now through the community of Inglewood. He's just not yielding. That part of it is Metro, the extension around LAX. They're extending it so that we can get Metro rail service towards LAX here. And a lot of this is revamping of Century Boulevard as well. But single file, again, just one lane open here through Inglewood, still westbound on Century Boulevard. And it looks like he's going to continue westbound all the way to LAX. So I think what we will do is we're going to take sort of a southward approach and follow the 105 so we can perhaps intercept this guy over towards the 405 freeway if he chooses to get on the 405 freeway. Right now, if you can envision coming into LAX, which both of you have many a times, and you come over the Forum, Old Hollywood Park, the south runways on the complex at 25 left and 25 right, that's where you descend. You get down to 3,000, 2,000, 1,000, and then touch down just past Aviation Boulevard and the 405. And essentially, Century Boulevard is the line of that air traffic. So we can't be in the way. We cannot be in the way of those jetliners. So we're in touch with ATC, Air Traffic Control, at the LAX Tower, and they tell us a window, an area, so to speak, that we can. So we're sort of wrapping around the south side of that restricted area, down the 105 freeway here, so that we can connect with the 105 and the 405 and shoot him from the south towards the north as he continues to make his way westbound down Century Boulevard. Century Boulevard essentially ends and begins, as you both know, right at LAX, and that's the direction that he's moving through the community of Inglewood right now. No word of any accidents or anything or anybody injured at this time, but still a dangerous situation, especially if it was a carjacking. He could have a weapon. That's certainly a possibility. That is one tactic. You see the pit maneuvers where they spin them out, they disable them. laying down the spike strips, which isn't a situation that can be used that often unless it's on an open freeway and they know that that suspect is traveling in that direction. There it is. You see it. We still got a decent shot. There's the Hollywood Park Casino, which has been torn down here in the construction area for the new stadium. He continues westbound, a relatively slow speed, driving safely. He has run a couple of stoplights, but he does stop at them and make sure that there's no opposing traffic. We have not heard of any collisions that have resulted from this pursuit, which started, we believe, in the Southgate area. And again, it's the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, that agency, that picked this pursuit up first. And again, we're hearing from our assignment desk that this individual, most likely a male, is a carjacking suspect. Whether or not that carjacking took place just a short time ago, this morning, unclear on that. But he continues to make his way westbound, and we still got a good shot. And again, we are doing, we're shooting this from the south side of LAX now, so we can get a better angle as opposed to looking directly down or westbound. We are looking due west towards LAX down Century Boulevard. And he continues westbound here. Traffic is still moving on both sides, and law enforcement trailing him as well. And because of that air traffic at LAX, in fact, I think we'll get a Southwest plane coming into our view here, 737, that's making a landing on runway 25 left here at LAX. That law enforcement helicopters can't be up either. It's not just us. All helicopters have to stay away because of the safety of these jetliners that are coming into LAX. And we are watching Inglewood now, right on the border of LAX here, Century Boulevard, approaching the 405 freeway. And we'll see what he does. There's an on-ramp here to both the north and southbound sides of the 405 freeway from Century Boulevard. And we'll see if he chooses to get on the freeway. If he continues in a westerly direction, he's going to continue right through the slot there, the LAX slot, that busy stretch of Century Boulevard between the 405 and the LAX complex. Still moving very slowly here, as you can see. I loved it. Yeah.
All right, everyone, Samia here. For those of you just joining us, you are looking at a live feed coming in from Southern California. Seems to be where most of our police chases come in from. Again, this is a police chase, police pursuing a carjacking suspect in the area of LAX and Inglewood. Not exactly a high-speed chase.
There's a lot of opposing traffic. There's eastbound traffic there that's to be concerned with, and a lot of parking.
Let's listen in on what the helicopter reporter is saying now.
There's a lot to take into consideration here. Still westbound on Century Boulevard. By the way, Lisa, I think I did see that piece on PBS that you did. They train for those pit maneuvers up in the north end of the San Fernando Valley. We show that from up here in Skyfox. Those guys, those officers protecting our city are always up there training in adverse conditions. They wet down the roadway. They practice their maneuverability. Make a real life situation. It's great. And there's the sign, LAX, and you can see, watch that jetliner. See, that's what we're talking about. That's why we can't be right on top of them. We're over the interchange with the 405 and the 105 freeway. There's the 405, and he's continuing westbound towards LAX now. And this is a very busy stretch of Century. You know it if you take that off-ramp, that Century Boulevard off-ramp from the 405 to enter the complex. So he's going to be encountering a lot of traffic here. All those stoplights backing up westbound. That's right. Yeah, that's right. And what's in his mind? You know, we always ask that. What is he thinking at this time? Well, he wants to get away. And as I mentioned, some do. Around 18% in the city of Los Angeles do. And as long as he's not in custody and he's free, he feels that he still is empowered, and he's hopeful that he can get away. Whether or not he's talking to somebody right now, trying to get a plan. Sometimes we see these pursuits wind their way back into neighborhoods that they're familiar with, so that they feel that they have an easier time evading police. But this guy seems to be, that's right, foot bail. No question. And he just ran that red light right there because you could see the green light on the opposite. There's the Metro rail construction there for the extension to get you your way into LAX. And maybe he's going to LAX. Maybe he's just, you know, he's acting like nothing's going on behind him, and he's heading to LAX for some reason. Perhaps he thinks he can get lost there. Well, he's finally going to make a right turn, or a northbound turn here. So we're going to make a midfield transition through LAX. We're going to make a midfield transition through LAX. I'm communicating with my pilot here so that we can make our way northbound across the complex and then pick it up on the other side. Again, what we do here now, which you'll see, and we show this a lot, Steve and Lisa from up here in Skybox, we make what we call an LAX transition. We can do it at about 1,500 feet directly center over the airport, so the planes can make their way beneath us. Or we make the shoreline transition where we're just maybe 50, 60 feet off the sand on the edge of the LAX complex here. So he's making his way northbound. I think that's Aviation Boulevard there from Century Boulevard. That will take him back towards Inglewood, perhaps the Fox Hills area. Unclear how much fuel he has at this time. And we'll see. It looks like he's entering into a parking lot now. And we're doing the... Well, first of all, we're unclear for sure if it was a carjacking. That's what we're hearing, and we're unclear if that actually happened in Southgate. Southgate is where we first heard of this pursuit, and that's a good 15 miles from this location now, and it's been going for some time. Now, he is making his way back westbound on this surface street here. This is an area that used to be heavily clogged with homes, that open greenery there, but as the jet age took hold over Southern California, those homes were removed. This is where a lot of the long-term parking is, where you could that satellite location where you can pick up passengers as well. So he's going to make his way back north and passing LAX. So he's going to avoid LAX, and we're going to continue to make our transition in a northward direction here, past the runways of 24 right and 24 left and 25 left and 25 right here at LAX as he makes his way north. Volume light on this street here. Yeah, we did. Always allow yourself an hour and a half for domestic and 2 hours plus for international, right? Well, maybe he thought that he could evade officers in this area because it is so congested. That's a possibility. Again, the mindset of these guys, we don't know. A lot of times they are unstable. There are certain situations where they're under the influence, and they're just trying to get away from police. But he's not doing it in a hurry. You're absolutely right. And there is no ordinary routine pursuit. There's no ordinary or routine stop by any means. We saw that tragic situation unfold at the beginning of last week in Whittier, in which we lost one of our brave first responders. And that's how they're treating this as well. And if it does turn out that this was a carjacking, and that is a carjacking suspect inside that vehicle there, he very may well be armed, and they are treating it as such. So they've run the plates. They know what where the car is registered to. They have that information. Whether or not they have any more information on that suspect, the LA County Sheriff's Department, again, that's the agency that started this, that's unclear. All right. About a half a dozen. The lead car, their patrol car there, still is LA County Sheriff's, and Again, we are in the city of Los Angeles now, this area around LAX and Westchester. He did make a westbound turn. We'll get this street for you in just a moment. We'll tilt up and see the sign there on Manchester Boulevard here. So this is on the north side of LAX. If you come down Lincoln or Sepulveda towards LAX, this is the area of Los Angeles, the Westchester community of Los Angeles, just north of LAX. There's some people out in their backyard checking out the scene. And again, oh, no question. Yeah, absolutely. Code 3, as we call it. That's right. He's lights and siren. And again, if you ever encounter a situation like this, do not try to box in the suspect. We've seen that happen. And sometimes we've seen it be done successfully by a bystander who just thinks he can help out. Not a wise thing to do, because you don't know what you're dealing with in this situation. You could put yourself and officers and other individuals in danger. Just back off, give them as much space as they need, pull to the right shoulder, and let the officers do what they're trained to do, bring these pursuits to a safe conclusion. Oh, you're absolutely right. No, you're right. You're right. But the bottom line, just like with anything else, when you see a hook and ladder, a fire engine come up, what do? You slow down and you pull to the right. Obviously, do the same exact situation when you see officers. And you can see officers are positioned in this neighborhood, and this is at this intersection, Lincoln and Manchester. And it looks like could be just up. No, he's going to make his way through that intersection. And he actually has the green on that one because the opposing traffic had right. Oh, good. Okay. And heading towards LMU now, westbound on Manchester. Again, Manchester, one of those major east-west thoroughfares that makes its way through the city of Los Angeles from the west side, the coast side, all the way to the east side here. And 68th and Central, that's an unincorporated area of Los Angeles, so that's why the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department picked it up first. We talk about these different agencies and why one agency is leading the pursuit and not the other. If it would have been in the city of Los Angeles, the official city limits, and LAPD would be the lead, but because it was in that unincorporated area adjacent to South Los Angeles, that's why the Sheriff's Department has picked it up. And it continues to pick up at a very slow rate here, Steve and Lisa. Same general scene that we saw when we first picked this pursuit up around the 110 freeway and Century Boulevard. He continues to make his way westbound here on Manchester. We're near LAX, so we probably have 15 minutes still if it's very close to either here or Santa Monica before we
All right, for those of you just joining us, we have been following this police pursuit in Los Angeles for over 10 minutes now. It's a slow speed chase. We've watched as the vehicle has gone through South LA, Inglewood, the LAX area. You're now looking at the area of Playa Del Rey. That vehicle traveling westbound on Manchester. You can't go too far on Manchester, though. Manchester eventually dead ends at Pershing Drive. So the question is, where will the suspect go next? The suspect wanted for carjacking. We'll continue to watch and see how this unfolds here on the Fox 10 News Now stream.
Here approaching Lincoln, and we're going to widen out a little bit. I'm going to show you again what looks to me like a procession here of these patrol cars behind this guy. And as we widen out and pan just slightly to the right, now a law enforcement helicopter has joined in and is watching. It'll come into frame on the right side there. An LA County Sheriff's helicopter is circling and watching overhead as well. So this is westbound on Manchester through the community of Westchester on the north side of LAX here, and we're going to be approaching that very busy intersection. And because this pursuit is going so slowly and primarily staying on these major streets, we were Century first, and now we are on Manchester, both significant major east-west thoroughfares through the city of Los Angeles. They are positioning police officers at these intersections to hold traffic so that there won't be any type of collision, even though this guy has been behaving himself quite well. This carjacking suspect, there's Lincoln Boulevard there, as you just confirmed down there in the newsroom. This four-door, this boxy car looks kind of like a Scion. Not sure of the exact make of the car. We'll try to get a better look at it. But tinted windows as well, which is problematic because that means officers don't know what's going on, perhaps in the back seat if there's some other individuals in there, and the visibility inside the automobile there is more difficult for them as well. But the bottom line, this suspect, this carjacking suspect, has been driving at relatively low speeds, behaving through the intersections. He does run the red lights, but he stops. He looks both ways, makes sure there's no opposing traffic. He doesn't want to get in any collision. And his vehicle looks like it's in pretty good shape. It does not look like it was involved in any crashes and any collisions prior to when we first picked this pursuit up. We really haven't. No. No.
All right, for those of you just joining us, we have been monitoring this police chase in Los Angeles. Looks like the helicopter reporter is speaking once again, so let's listen in to him instead.
Playa Del Rey towards the shoreline. If he continues here on Manchester, this is a nice enclave of the city of Los Angeles. Our city extends from the coast here, inland, beyond downtown LA, northward to the San Fernando Valley, up towards Chatsworth and south, through the Harbor Gateway down towards San Pedro. And this is the portion of LAX which actually touches the ocean. Not a lot of the city of Los Angeles actually does. A lot of people believe it's situated right on the coast, but it's the beach cities that have their city limits within the coast. But this area actually does, just south of Marina Del Rey, the channel there, the entrance to the harbor area here. And this is an area of Playa Del Rey here, Westchester on Manchester, and he's continuing westbound. You see the greenery there in the middle. Eastbound traffic is still moving. People are stopping and pulling to the right if need be. And he went through another intersection there. He had the green light there at Fairmouth. Absolutely. Yep. No question.
Again, the suspect in Playa Del Rey on Manchester. Now, it looks like he's about to approach Pershing Drive. Now, the suspect has to make a decision here. Is he going to make a right or a left? You can't really go straight from there. And he decides to make a left. He is heading in the direction of LAX once again. This is the area of Playa Del Rey, just north of LAX.
He's heading back towards LAX. He's heading southbound towards runways 24 right and 24 left here on Pershing. If we could get a little farther west, we'll be able to get a better shot of this. Again, Pershing Drive here, coming out of Playa Del Rey, and then he'll be approaching Westchester Parkway. So let's see if he turns back to the east on Westchester Parkway and stays on the north side of the complex, or makes his way right underneath the runways, the takeoff points at LAX. It's a nice morning. It's dry out. The sun is out here. Weather's not a concern. This guy's going at a very slow pace. He's coming up on the intersection now, heading southbound on Pershing towards Westchester Parkway. Let's see if he makes that left turn or not. And it looks like he is going to continue in a southward direction. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a southbound shoreline approach at LAX so that we can stay with this. no question.
I think we're still
all right, everyone. I do just want to check in with you. I know the helicopter reporter is taking a break, but for those of you just joining us, you are looking at a slow-speed police chase in the area of, let me go ahead and move us so you guys can focus on the car, the area of Playa Del Rey. He actually is traveling southbound on Pershing Drive towards LAX. The question is, where will the suspect go next? We've been monitoring this situation for over 20 minutes now. The suspect wanted for a carjacking crime.
All right, so, you know, when we were watching this on television a little earlier, he was all the way over there at Century Boulevard, actually not far from the Forum in Inglewood.
Right.
And the fact that he is now that much closer to LAX, I don't know. I mean, look, there's the runway right there.
Right, it's been interesting because he's been kind of driving in the LAX area but never fully approached LAX specifically. When he was traveling on Century Boulevard westbound, he eventually traveled northbound, and got into the Westchester Playa Del Rey area before ever getting near LAX. So this is the closest we've seen him near the LAX airport. For those of you not familiar with LAX, that's Los Angeles International Airport.
It's a little concerning to see him right there. You can see the airport operations that are going on. If you're not familiar with it, Pershing is the road that's right at the end of the runway, just before these planes then lift off and head out over the Pacific Ocean. So he's right there along the kind of the tail end of the runway.
Right.
And there, you can see a little bit more, in terms of airport operations that are going on. And here's this kind of bizarre scene with this guy driving at a very slow speed.
Right, a slow speed chase.
Yeah.
That's right, and the end of the runways, those very busy runways. We can't just be buzzing around at 500 feet on the edge of those two busy runways, the third busiest airport in the country. We're going to get into some serious trouble there. But hey, we're making our way around, and we're watching it now from the south side, from the El Segundo side, as he makes his way southbound on Pershing, just past runways 25 left and 25 right here at LAX. That's right. He's going to take the coastal route. He's taking Imperial Highway. He's making his way west on Imperial, and that's where he will intersect Vista Del Mar, which is essentially the shoreline road right up against Dockweiler State Beach here at the edge of LAX. So making his way now in a westerly direction on Imperial Highway, and then he will have to make another decision. He'll either turn right and head north, back underneath the runways here at LAX, northbound on Vista Del Mar, or make his way south down towards El Segundo, El Porto, and the beach city. So we'll see what he does here. You see the famous sand dunes here at the edge of the airport that you see when you take off home to the El Segundo Butterfly in the chaparral there and those brush-covered hills. Here it is. That's Vista Del Mar right there. There's the parking lots at Dockweiler State Beach, the beach there that so many people go down to enjoy with the bonfires there. And let's see what he does, east or west, or he'll go into the parking lot and go to the beach. Up. I was going to go west. Now he was going to go north. Now he's going to go south. So he's going to head south into the beach cities. Yeah, I saw some traffic up there, I think, and he thought better just to make his way to the south. So southbound now on Vista Del Mar.
All right, for those of you just joining us, we want to give you a quick recap of this slow speed pursuit happening in Los Angeles The suspect now south of LAX, Dockweiler Beach area, traveling southbound on Vista Del Mar.
You're pretty familiar with that area.
Yeah, so it's that coastal route right along the Pacific Ocean. It's a very bizarre scene because typically when we're watching these police chases, suspects are traveling at a high rate of speed, driving erratically, posing a threat to other drivers on the road. For the most part, this driver has driven relatively safely, minus running a red light or two, as we had seen.
Yeah. Although he does have this weird, almost annoying habit of pulling into an intersection like he's going to do a U-turn, like he sweeps very wide, and then he doesn't do the U-turn and goes ahead and makes it looks. He's been making a lot of left-hand turns. So he got to Vista Del Mar, and for a second it looked like he was going to loop back and go back toward the airport, but now he's actually moving further and further away from the airport and past all of those here at 8:50 in the morning in LA, past all of those mostly empty parking lots right along the beach.
Yeah, right. Not too many people at the beach on a Wednesday morning.
Yeah, at 8:53. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't get why they haven't moved more forcefully to lay down stop sticks or do a pit maneuver or something like that, just to wrap this thing up.
Well, we know that the suspect wanted is a carjacking suspect, so the question is the individual armed? Are they, taking all necessary precautions here?
Right. At least he's smart enough to know, at least his behavior right now, is he's not being crazy with the way he's driving. He seems to be traveling at the... at or below the posted speed limit.
Right.
And maybe he's already figured out you don't get out of these situations. So we're just going to continue to watch this chase as it unfolds.
Again, the suspect traveling southbound, Vista Del Mar, in the El Segundo area of Southern California, just south of LAX. He is eventually going to approach the area of Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach, Redondo Beach. That is, if he still continues to travel southbound.
Yeah. Looks like he might be speeding up just a little bit through this area. Yeah, he definitely is speeding up now, which is strange after mile of going very slowly.
Right.
He hits the accelerator here. Oh, and even crosses the double yellow center line, so that gets a little dangerous.
Right, I wonder what shifted in his mindset.
Yeah.
Is it just that it's a more open road? I don't know. He's picking up speed.
Yeah, he definitely is.
I don't think I can call this a slow speed chase now, Ron.
Not right now, after the first 25 minutes, right now it's shifted into, not breakneck speed, but he's moving along a pretty good clip. Saw that officer there. Maybe they did do a spike strip thing. We'll know within about another 10 or 15 seconds if he starts to lose control of the vehicle. That's usually doesn't take long before those wheels start to go. Oh, I think, am I seeing that? Look at his front tires. Does it look as though they're trying to zoom in to see themselves? No. Looks like he's still got some air. Oh, wait. No. Well, that's tough to see. All right, can we hear what the chopper pilot's saying?
Yeah, let's go ahead and listen in.
Highland from Vista Del Mar. And again, this guy is being pursued in a southbound direction, starting within the South Los Angeles area, an unincorporated area. He made his way westbound towards LAX, up into Westchester, into Playa Del Rey, and now south into the South Bay area. And this stretch of Highland is very busy. I certainly do, and I'm sure a bunch of my friends are coming out to watch this. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let's see. I'll get a better look at it on my monitor. It looks low, but this is kind of one of those low profile cars, so it's hard to determine. What I am seeing hanging above his sun visors looks like a bunch of perhaps placards or something there. I don't know what that is an indication of. That's a possibility. And we're still trying to find out some information. Look at how busy now this is downtown Manhattan Beach. Very busy. Eateries, people walking, going to their morning yoga class here in the beach cities. We call this the Sandbox of the South Bay, a very affluent area of the South Bay, the beach cities. And in fact, many entertainers and athletes call this beach city home. And it's very busy during the morning hours all day long. There's activity here in Manhattan Beach. And he continues southbound on Highland Avenue here in Manhattan Beach. Lots of intersections, alleys, and if he picks up his speed, it will get into a more dangerous situation here. There certainly are. And now that we are officially in the city limits of Manhattan Beach, the Manhattan Beach Police Department, they're aware of the situation here, and they will likely be aiding in this, perhaps providing traffic control, maybe adding some additional. There you go, right there, into frame. That's a Manhattan Beach police officer guarding the intersections there. That's what happens. It turns into a mutual aid situation as these pursuits make their way into different jurisdictions, different cities. That often occurs. So they'll get the help, especially traffic control. And maybe some of these sheriff's deputies aren't familiar with the layout of these particular neighborhoods. They will get help from the jurisdiction as well, and that's exactly what's happening here. And he continues to make his way southbound. This alleged carjacking suspect on Highland Avenue, approaching now the Manhattan Beach Pier. And street lights and stop signs, people making their way across. There's another Manhattan Beach police officer there. So they're doing the best they can to protect the public. They try the spike trip again right there. Did not work. So because he's moving at such a slow rate and he's been staying on, that's not a wise thing to do if you are out watching to get that close. So you really want to back off. You saw that one gentleman there getting awfully close into the street there. The situation is with these spike strips, because this guy is essentially staying on the same streets he gets comfortable with. We saw him for miles on Century. Then he made his way north through LAX, and then he took Manchester all the way to the sea, and then picked up Vista Del Mar, which turns into Highland, and he's been on that for several miles now. There you go. Looks like that Tesla pulling over to the right, doing what he should do when something like this comes up. We're at Highland now, right in the heart of downtown Manhattan Beach. In fact, the police department is just a block or so away from this intersection. And these intersections are very busy. Parking on both sides, one way in both directions. Fortunately, he has slowed down a bit again. And at this point, we're hoping that they're able to throw out another spike strip if he continues in this direction. We've been seeing the officers buzz to get up ahead of them. There's an LA County Sheriff's helicopter circling overhead, watching and relaying the important information. There's another officer there from the Manhattan Beach Police Department. It does not look like even the first spike strip was successful, because from our vantage point, it doesn't look like those tires have been disabled at this point. That's one method. They could try to box them in. Especially in a situation like this, they could perhaps get an officer in front of him, but then you get into some danger. You don't know if he sees that patrol car up in advance, he could pick up speed and plow right into him. Oh, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Another one right in front of him. So let's see what happens. Let's widen out a little bit. We'll keep the picture on, obviously, on the suspect, but we'll see where this. That's a sheriff's deputy. They're not a Manhattan Beach police officer, and he's making his way far to the south of where the pursuit actually is. And let's see if he positions himself and tries to do something. Now there's not much traffic on this stretch. This is a stretch between right on the border of Hermosa, Manhattan Beach, and the pier here. And this is where Highland T-bones here. So let's see what happens here. He chose to go left, so he's going to go left too, because maybe he's thinking that was a decoy. Like, why would you want to follow another officer? Well, maybe there was something waiting for him on the southbound or on the westbound side. There's spike strip again. He hit that one. He definitely hit that one. Traveling now eastbound, coming off of Highland. So let's see if this did a number on the tires here. Oh, man, this is such a tight residential area. Yeah, 3. That was 3. First one, it didn't appear to work. Second one definitely didn't. That one looks like he hit it. But what we can't tell from up here is whether or not those spikes were actually aligned in such a way so that they were able to disable the tires. Now making his way into Hermosa Beach. So now we're into the second of the 3 beach cities. We have Redondo on the far south and Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach on the north. It made a stop there. and making now a northbound turn. And I got to think he doesn't know which way he's going, because these streets here, some are one way. This is a real tight, windy neighborhood here in Hermosa Beach, right on the border of Manhattan Beach. Heading back now into Manhattan Beach in a northbound direction here. And there's officers all over this neighborhood. Fortunately, school is in session now, so all the kids are in the classroom, and there's not a lot of pedestrian traffic here as we see all these crosswalks. The first thing they want to do is they want to disable this vehicle. They want him to stop. And then at that point, because, Lisa, as you pointed out, he could have a weapon, then he doesn't have his vehicle. So now they can negotiate with him and hopefully get him to just surrender, and it ends peacefully. But they know that he's not going to have a vehicle to make his way anywhere else. So their prime motive here, their prime goal is to disable the vehicle. And we've seen that with the spike strip attempt 3 times now. They've thrown that out, and unclear if that third one, he hit it, but again, whether or not those spikes actually really engaged with the tires, that's unclear at this time. Very popular area here, this Valley Ardmore area. There goes another LA County Sheriff's Patrol car in front of him. A lot of people run and walk. That's right. This, again, this is a very popular stretch of Manhattan Beach. It's Valley Drive and Ardmore. It's Ardmore if you're traveling northbound, which he is, but now he's going to make a left turn, and he may get on Valley here, which would take him back to the southbound side. So let's see what he does. It's only one way, so he's got to make a left turn here. And he's been driving the same pretty much since his pursuit started. It does not appear, just from the way the vehicle is moving, that there's been much in the way of damage to the tires. They look pretty good. Yeah, it's been quite some time, close to 45 minutes now, I believe, when we first picked this up, right at the 105 and Century Boulevard. And this suspect, this carjacking suspect, made his way westbound on Century Boulevard all the way to LAX, and then made a northbound turn to pick up Manchester. And then he made his way westbound on Manchester, through Westchester, through Playa Del Rey, picked up Vista Del Mar, southbound on Vista Del Mar, picked up Highland from El Segundo into Manhattan Beach. Now he is on Valley Drive. Valley Drive runs to the south. It's one way. Ardmore on the other side runs to the north, and in between there's a nice greenway, a path for runners and joggers on this beautiful March 1st morning, and there's a lot of activity there, and unbeknownst to a lot of those people, what's passing them, perhaps a very dangerous individual who could be armed, who allegedly pulled off a carjacking. There's officers there, again, a mutual aid holding traffic. No, it does not look to be the case at all. It did. Yeah, we would have seen definitely some deflation of these tires, and we just have not seen that as of yet. It's difficult because, as you see, they have to get up ahead of the suspect, toss that strip out, and hope that that strip aligns perfectly, meaning the spikes are erect, and that the suspect engages with those spikes in such a way that those tires become hit, just deflated. Oh, we got a good look at him here. We finally, it looks like he rolled down the window there. He's got his arm out. We could not tell, didn't look like it. Looks like he's perhaps engaging with people, looking to the left here. So definitely a male, a shaved head here, and you can see the tinted windows. We believe it's just the driver inside the car. And again, if you're just picking this up, an alleged carjacking suspect that we first heard of in the Southgate unincorporated area of LA County, and that's why the LA County Sheriff's Department is the lead agency on this pursuit. But getting help now by the Manhattan Beach Police Department, because we're in the heart of Manhattan Beach, and he's just making a nice stroll through the beach city on this, what's turning out to be a beautiful day here in Southern California.
right, everyone, Samia Khan here. For those of you just joining us, we are watching this police pursuit unfold. We've been watching for about 45 minutes now, this slow speed pursuit. Doesn't look like the suspect is in much of a hurry. This is a carjacking suspect in the South Bay area, currently in Manhattan Beach.
Now this, I will say, this is the first time he's hanging in the same area. So maybe he has a connection here. Perhaps not. He's just lost, because these streets are a little challenging to navigate if you're not familiar with the neighborhood. But he is now making his way kind of in a circular direction around Manhattan Beach here. So with that, again, because so many of these we have seen that suspects will go to an area that they are familiar with. However, being that he came from Century Boulevard, he would have had the option to make his way south when he reached LAX to get to this neighborhood. So that makes me think perhaps he doesn't. He's just trying to evade police. He's still not in custody. Perhaps a third strike, or if he carjacks someone, that one strike is enough to get him into some serious trouble, in addition to all the vehicular laws that he's broken on this Wednesday morning. Yeah, it's unclear at this time. We're going to have to take care of some business up here really quick, so we're going to watch this as long as we can, but I'm going to toss it back to you two for now. We stretch it as much as we could. Gosh.
All right, everyone, it looks like the chopper is leaving the scene of the chase. Our assumption is they need to refuel. A very bizarre chase indeed. We started watching this chase about 45-50 minutes ago in the South LA area. We watched as the suspect was pursued through South LA, Inglewood, through the Westchester area, Playa Del Rey, LAX. We followed along. Don't have a conclusion to this chase right now, but it looks like Fox National is about to send us a new source. So we do have that chase coming in now. Again, we have another angle courtesy of another helicopter feed. The carjacking suspect continues to be pursued.
Still got his window down. It's just like he's out enjoying a spring day. It's the weirdest thing. It is a beautiful morning there in LA. Nice, sunny, cool start to the month of March, and he's been going through some of these beach communities south of LAX. Just, you know, multiple attempts at laying down the stop sticks haven't worked. So we keep hoping at some point we're going to see him driving on the rims and get this thing all wrapped up, come to some sort of conclusion. But so far I think there have been 3 separate attempts, and none has been successful. Looks like he's just about stopped for a minute, but it was unclear as to why. And then he continues on. There was really only one spot over the course of this entire chase, and that was just within about 3-4 minutes after he'd left the LAX area, where it looked like he really picked up speed, where he was traveling at or above the speed limit. But now he's moving at some of his slowest pace of the entire course of the chase itself. Look how slow he's moving here. I mean, at some points you could guesstimate that he's going less than 25 miles an hour. pulls up to a stop, comes through that area very slowly. I don't know. I guess every law enforcement agency is going to deal with it differently. It sure seems like now might be a good time to do that pit maneuver. We've seen it done here in Arizona so many times, and so successfully and so perfectly executed. And it just kind of brings things to an end. This guy with the window rolled down, though, doesn't seem to be in any particular... Oh, look, you do have one officer who's going to... Looks like he's getting very close.
Mm-hmm.
And how he will react, we'll have to wait to see.
Right, Ron. Although the officers have gotten close a couple of times, the suspect hasn't given any indication that he's willing to surrender at this point.
Yeah, I know. And it just, again, this came in originally as a report of a carjacking. So they got to be cautious. But boy, you're using up a huge amount of police performance. Take a look here.
Look at that.
Look, you got a motorist who's decided I'm going to do a little something here.
Well, is it a motorist or an undercover officer?
Oh, could have been.
Look at the way it's. They're trying.
But it was poorly. If it was an undercover officer, it wasn't done effectively. And that's got the guy now. He's like, oh boy, they're getting more serious. So he just, for the first time in quite a while, we actually saw him blow right through an intersection there.
Which is just more evidence that he doesn't want to surrender at any point.
No, he just wants to drive until the gas runs out, and that could be hours.
Right. So those of you just joining us, you may have missed the first 50 minutes of this pursuit. This pursuit started in the South Los Angeles area. This suspect took police through Inglewood, Westchester, the Playa Del Rey area, LAX area, Manhattan Beach. We are still in the South Bay area, the Beach Cities area. It's been interesting to watch, Ron.
Yeah, boy, it sure has. Yeah, he's back there to at least doing as they call it do they call it California stop over there? I know the rest of the country calls it when you come to a rolling stop at a stop sign. Have you never heard this?
No, we call them rolling stop signs stops in California.
Yeah, that's funny. So the rest of the country calls it a California stop, or at least some people do.
This is where I confess that I once got pulled over by an officer for doing just that in California.
And we all thought it was totally the way everybody does it in Cali.
Nope, not in Fresno at least.
Oh, see, they're a little harder, a little harsher. So here we go.
I totally stopped, though, in my defense.
Well, good. So you took it to court.
Yeah, and I lost.
Oh, well, okay. You know, more residential retail areas. I wonder if he's back closer to the beach.
Well, that's the interesting thing about these towns, these beach cities, Manhattan Beach, Redondo Beach. When you're closer to the ocean, these roads are very narrow. There isn't a lot of space to move, as opposed to the more open streets, the more larger thoroughways.
Oh. Well, he's really slowing down here. Oh, well.
He is just...
I don't get that. You know, so you had the cruiser that was blocking his way and then pulled just far enough in front that he was able to just drive on through.
We are continuing to monitor the situation. I'm wondering, is this chase trending on Twitter yet? Is there even a hashtag for the chase?
Yeah, we've seen that multiple times.
I know. It's hard to say. I off the top of my head, I start thinking beach chase, but...
Yeah. Or LA chase, something like that.
Right. And I did get a comment from a viewer regarding your California stop. Barrett Marson, an Orange County native, they always called it that.
A California stop?
Maybe it's a Southern California thing, because in Central California...
see, Central Valley, there.
I was never taught to believe that it was called a California stop.
Okay, that's interesting. All right, so we have these live images. This chase has been going on now. It's 10:17, 9:17 over there, and it's been almost an hour that this guy has been meandering the streets, taking up the time of the valuable time of a lot of law enforcement officers waiting for a vehicle to come through. and continuing his slow, meandering drive about some of these beachfront communities.
So this chase isn't trending nationally. Let me see if it's at least trending in Los Angeles.
Okay.
No, and it's interesting. Most people around the country still talking about Donald Trump's speech last night,
Oh, I
Kevin
bet,
Durant's
yeah.
injury,
Oh man, how about that
Ryan
one?
Zinke being confirmed as Interior Secretary. No one really making the chase trend right now.
That Kevin Durant injury sounds like he's going to be out for a month.
Oh, I had read an article that said he'd be out for the rest of the season, which I guess the regular season only goes to mid-April.
Correct, so 6 weeks, but yeah, no, I'd seen something this morning that said 4 weeks, but either way, you know. The Houston Rockets are giving the Golden State Warriors a run for their money. So Kevin Durant, if the Warriors want to repeat, he needs to get himself
Oh, wow.
healthy.
A Harden versus Durant matchup. If Durant could play, that would be interesting.
Imagine? Yes.
You know what else is like sports?
Hmm.
Sometimes police chase coverage.
Really? How so, SK?
You just never know what's going to happen. A lot of viewers
Oh, I
tune
see.
in.
Yes.
You have to watch it live. You have to watch it unfold.
Yep, it's true.
And some of those helicopter choppers can cover them in terms of play-by-play, like sports announcers. Obviously, the stakes are much higher in these police chase situations, as they can be very dangerous at times, especially if the suspect is armed.
Yes.
So we obviously have to keep that into consideration. I know a lot of people on the internet, viewers tweet me, they enjoy watching these police chases. They watch them for fun, but we do have to keep in mind that this is a serious situation.
Right.
They do pose a threat on the road, especially if they're armed or they're driving erratically, and so we always do need to keep that in mind when watching these police chases here on News Now. It looks like a lot of people are tweeting me about the rolling stop versus California stop
Really?
debate.
Seriously?
That
Let's
seems
see
to
what
be
people
what
are
people are
saying.
tweeting about. Let me go ahead and move us out of the way so people can watch.
We
the
never
chase.
know what topic we hit that's going to interest you guys.
I know.
So,
So
here we go.
Mike, one of
Okay.
our viewers,
Yes.
we call them rolling stops here in Wisconsin. Never heard anyone say California stop for the record.
Okay.
So
And who was the guy in California who hit her?
Barrett.
Barrett
Marsa.
in Orange County.
So we
Okay,
got
there
one
you go.
vote for Barrett saying California stop, Mike saying rolling stop. It's 1-1. Who knows who else is going to tweet me on that topic?
Okay, that's good. We do love reading your tweets. That's for sure. It's Samia Khan, Fox 10.
No last name. That's too
Oh,
many
it's just
characters.
Samia Fox 10.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. And I'm Ron Hoon, Fox 10, Hoon.
That's right. And for those of you just joining us, I know some people are trickling in and out. So I know you've heard me say this a few times, those of you who have been watching for an hour, but I do want to recap where this chase started and where it's traveled through.
Sure.
So the chase started in South LA. Suspect is a carjacking suspect. That's what we have learned. Went through South LA, the West Inglewood area, then into Westchester, Playa Del Rey area, down into the LAX area, and then into Manhattan Beach. We believe the suspect's still in the South Bay. I'm going to go ahead and move our box again because I want to give you guys a clearer view of this pursuit that's gone on for over an hour now, Ron.
Yeah. Yeah, originally out in Inglewood, and it's Sami has spent a lot of time in Southern California.
It's my home away from home.
We all have, but nothing like if you've actually lived in California, and Samia has. So you're familiar with a lot of these streets and neighborhoods, and we've just kind of been following as it works its way through these areas.
Chase, low speed chase.
That's their hashtag?
I don't think there's a hashtag yet.
Okay.
I mean, someone tweeted me hashtag beach chase,
Okay.
but it's, again, like I said, I looked at the trending topics on Twitter, and not a lot of people are in car chase mode this morning.
Yeah.
Of course, we do have thousands tuning in on Facebook and on YouTube as well. We do appreciate all of our viewers. Carjacking suspect has driven over a few spike strip now.
Wouldn't it be nice if this guy at this point just said, I'm through wasting everybody's time. I'll just go ahead and surrender here. But that has not been his
Nope.
preferred method so far.
he is in the Hermosa Beach area now. Hermosa Beach, one of the beach cities, just south of LAX. Hermosa Beach, south of Manhattan Beach.
This is
north
odd.
of Long Beach.
He is going the wrong way now.
Oh, interesting observation, Ron. You're right. He is traveling the wrong way on the road. That is 14th Street. Let me go ahead and...
And now he's back on to the other side of the road.
14th Street in Hermosa Beach. Is what he just crossed. I'm wondering, is he on Valley Drive, Hermosa Avenue?
Oh, so kind of a big town square area right there. You've got the diagonal crosswalks.
Right. He is in the. It looks like he is in the center of the Hermosa Beach downtown area. So I would assume that he's traveling southbound on Hermosa Avenue because that is the main thoroughfare in the downtown Hermosa area. Probably the only major street in that area that would have 2 lanes on both sides of the street. Because again, for the most part, the rest of the area is residential and it's 1 lane in both directions.
Right.
And I do have to bring this up because it looks like everyone is now tweeting regarding California stop versus rolling stop, Ron. You really struck a chord with the viewers.
Wow, yes.
Yeah, so Eric Flores says it's a California stop in Colorado. And Bram also tweeting us from Iowa saying, I've always heard the rolling stop called a California stop. Andrew 3K saying, we mix both. It shares a name with the infamous sushi. Here it's a California roll.
That is funny. Who said that?
Andrew 3K.
Andrew 3K, keep tweeting at us, buddy. That's good commentary right there.
Meanwhile, Gabriel Lopez saying we get pulled over for California stops in Montana. Angry Ninja also saying here in Atlanta we call them California roll. Gak Bot saying from Iowa, definitely just a rolling stop.
Yeah, that sounds like the Midwest is not on board with calling it California stops, because I think our first guy who said no was also in the upper Midwest there.
So many
Look
people.
at this. Now you got guys, they got people just passing him, you know, kind of in their own personal hurry to get on with picking up the dry cleaning or going out to meet somebody for lunch or whatever they're doing. That was interesting. We haven't seen that much, but there was somebody who literally pulled up and went right beyond him in that white car. Again, unless that's an unmarked vehicle.
Right. For those of you just joining us wondering what this rolling stop, California stop debate is about, we watched as the suspect didn't fully stop at a stop sign, kind of rolled it. That's when Ron referred to it as a California stop.
Right.
And I, as a California native, was like, what? I call
I've
them
never
rolling
heard of
stop.
such a thing. So then we opened it up to the other 49 states. And actually...
Everyone's chiming in. Aspen, Ruben King saying Cali stops here in Texas too.
Yeah, there you go, Cali.
Dennis Hernandez saying it's a California stop. Meanwhile, Dennis Rice, another Dennis, saying definitely a rolling stop in New York. So
okay.
It's really interesting.
That is very interesting. Look at this guy just meander.
And you know what? And here's John Craig from your home state, Washington.
Oh, yes.
Saying it's a California stop there. So you guys were raised in similar places.
Correct.
Similar outlook. I'm going to go ahead and move our box once again because I want to give viewers a clear view of the area. Looks like he just crossed Redondo Street now, just passing Redondo Street, which would mean that he's now in Redondo Beach, no longer in Hermosa Beach. For those of you not familiar with Southern California, these 3 beach cities are very close together. They're all south of LAX. You have Manhattan Beach, then Hermosa Beach, and then Redondo Beach. And if you're going southbound on one of the main thoroughfares, you easily drive from one into the other without even realizing you're in another town at times. So looks like he is now in the Redondo Beach area as we just watched him pass Redondo. All right, everyone. Ron Hoon did have to step aside to go to his morning show meeting. I'm still with you here as we follow along this pursuit that we've been watching for over an hour now here on Fox News Now. Police pursuing a carjacking suspect through South LA, the LAX area. Now we are in the South Bay area. Seems to be the Hermosa Beach, Redondo Beach area. The carjacking suspect leading police on a low-speed pursuit with no indication that he has plans to surrender anytime soon. Again, guys, we are watching this live police pursuit out of Southern California. The suspect driving at a low rate of speed, driving over spike strips. Multiple police units pursuing this suspect in Southern California. We are in the South Bay area. The question is, what is going through the suspect's mind right now? How long will it be before this pursuit ends? Again, the suspect has traveled for miles throughout the Los Angeles area, starting in South LA, going south to Westchester, westbound through Playa Del Rey, south into the LAX area, and now through the South Bay cities of Manhattan Beach and Hermosa Beach. It's been a very bizarre chase to follow along. The driver driving at a low rate of speed, for the most part traveling safely, traveling very casually. At one point, we saw the suspect just hanging his arm out the window as deputies pursued. There was one moment where the suspect drove on the wrong side of the road through Manhattan Beach. We also watched as the suspect rolled a stop sign. For the most part, though, following most traffic cues. It's very bizarre. Now, the suspect stopping in the middle of an intersection. It is unclear what his next move is. Looks like he is making a left turn and continuing to evade police. As you can see, multiple police units pursuing this suspect. Look like they have gone in, but he keeps evading police. Even when he's been struck, he continues to evade police. Again, this is a carjacking suspect. A pursuit that has gone on for over an hour now. We've been covering it for you for about an hour and 15 minutes now here on News Now. Is it over? Not quite. The suspect now traveling backwards. The suspect traveling in reverse. Yes, this is happening right now. Multiple lanes, a very bizarre scene in the South Bay of California, South Bay of Los Angeles. As you can see, police have tried the pit maneuver. They've tried spike strips. The suspect, again, doesn't appear to want to surrender. We just watched the suspect traveled backwards in reverse. It's a very bizarre scene in Southern California. This is the South Bay area, just south of LAX. We'll just continue to watch and monitor here on Fox 10 News Now. A number of viewers tweeting me, Barrett Marson tweeting me, that was an awesome move, very action movie, don't you think? A lot of people reacting that it looks like they're shooting a movie in LA. This guy is driving like a stuntman. Mike tweeting me, that Scion has a gas tank just shy of 12 gallons and gets 32 miles per gallon in the city. Oh, and it looks like the surrender was inevitable. Police have him cornered. Again, viewer discretion is advised as this was a carjacking suspect. It's possible he is armed. Again, viewer discretion is advised. And we have removed the lower third banner temporarily so you guys can get a clear view of the situation there in Southern California. Police have a carjacking suspect cornered. Again, a carjacking suspect is cornered. He's still inside the vehicle. Viewer discretion is advised. We'll continue to monitor this scene. Again, viewer discretion is advised. As you can see, officers have their guns out. The suspect inside that vehicle. The question is, will he surrender peacefully?
Back, that was amazing. Down Pacific Coast Highway, Highway 1 in Redondo Beach, busy on both sides, any time of day.
All right, we have a couple different sources, a couple different aerial feeds, choppers from the scene. We're going to switch back and forth from them so that you guys can get all angles of this scene. Again, the suspect is still inside the vehicle. Carjacking suspect, a police pursuit that went on for almost an hour and a half here on News Now. Again, you can see the officers with their guns drawn. The suspect still inside the vehicle. The question is the suspect wanted for carjacking armed and dangerous? Officers are not taking any chances, as you can see. They have their guns drawn. The suspect, for now, staying inside the vehicle. Let's go ahead and check in with our Fox LA chopper reporter now.
He endangered a number of people, especially here in Redondo Beach, and that is the agency now that is handling this. The Redondo Beach Police Department here on Pacific Coast Highway, just south of Catalina, only blocks from the beach. And this pursuit made its way down the South Bay, just a block or two from the beach, from LAX southward into the beach cities, from El Segundo, Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach, and now to this point. Finally, they were able to successfully pit pursuit intervention technique, essentially spin him out. That pit maneuver was essentially designed by an officer in Fairfax County, Virginia, and then was that maneuver was shared with other agencies across the country over the years, and now it is a successful means of bringing a pursuit to the end. His wheels were disabled. You know, they're guns drawn. They're concerned. You know, this guy's not giving up. No, not at all. No, and let's widen out a little bit, and I'll show you what they are doing to protect everybody here. The major intersection, that's Pacific Coast Highway, up and down, top to the bottom of your screen. We'll tilt up. That's PB Drive. They have traffic blocked there completely, so you can't make your way on in either direction. And then tilting down, you can see the officers on the opposing side of Pacific Coast Highway, which would be the northbound side of PCH, holding traffic there as well. They're negotiating with this guy. They're hoping that he will surrender. He'll get out of the automobile. Unclear if there is anybody else inside the vehicle. That is a possibility. Again, the windows have been tinted. It was a carjacking, and there's certain situations where we've seen that actually the innocent person goes along for the ride, but no indication of that from what we saw during this pursuit. Yeah, he certainly did. He took on a more casual demeanor. The whole pursuit has been somewhat casual, and that the speeds were low. He was abiding by each street light, stoplight, he'd stop. And if he did have the red, he'd go through it, but he made sure both sides were clear. He never went over the speed limit, and he just made his way relatively safely, except that he wasn't yielding to officers, through South L.A., towards LAX, into Westchester. Yeah, he did a loop around the complex, as we did. And then finally, when he got into the beach cities, he rolled down the window, as you guys mentioned, and looked like he made some gestures at some people, possibly some other motorists. Spike strips were laid out a number of times, and it looks like finally either the third or perhaps a fourth one that we did not witness was successful and did disable the two right side tires, the front right and the bottom, the rear right tires. And with that car was diminished. It was compromised. Its ability to drive was compromised, so it was moving at a much slower rate. That's when it entered Redondo Beach, and that's when the Redondo Beach Police Department took control, and they attempted the pit a couple of times, and finally they were successful here on Pacific Coast Highway, just to the south of Catalina Avenue. Palos Verdes Drive, I should say. And the driving in reverse, just unbelievable. At the speed down Pacific Coast Highway, he was in the right side. He was on the right side of Pacific Coast Highway because he was moving southbound on PCH, but he was moving in reverse southbound. So, yeah. And that one truck that we saw there, was unclear if they were trying to help police officers or not. But when he was making his way in reverse like that, he was moving at a good clip, a high rate of speed, one of the highest speeds he had been through the whole pursuit, and he was aimed at another officer. So he was endangering, whenever a situation like that starts to happen, they definitely are in risk, these officers. And here we are now, and it's a standoff. A half a dozen or so plus officers from the Redondo Beach Police Department, guns drawn. They have the suspect, a target, right there, just in case that force is needed. No, absolutely not. And I would say, I mean, that the suspect is not. The officers are doing, what they've been trained to do. And the situation here, too, is if there was an exchange of gunfire here, they have to be concerned about these units here, these condominiums, these two-story condominiums on the south side of Pacific Coast Highway. Now, it looks like, and these people are pretty close watching all this unfold, which is a little bit of a surprise, in that if gunfire was needed, and they don't want that to happen at all. Obviously, they want to bring this to a peaceful conclusion, and it would come to a conclusion. I think this is a point where we can make the point, because we've seen so many officer-related incidents, justifiable force, unjustifiable force. The bottom line, in a situation like this, you have a suspect who is driving recklessly, endangering the lives of officers and other people. He's inside that car. He's being given strict instructions. Give up, we will handcuff you, we'll take you down to the police department, we'll book you, we'll interview you, and nobody will get hurt. That's what they're trying to do here, but he's not giving up. There's no question. Yep. And what's happening right now, they will bring in, if not one of these officers is already trained, speaking of making their dollars and cents, as negotiators. They're, trained a little bit more, perhaps, than an ordinary beat patrol officer, so that they have the right language. They know what to say to communicate with suspects like this who just aren't willing to give up. We don't know what we're dealing with here. This individual could be under the influence. He could be, emotionally unstable. Obviously, to some point he is. He may be going through some serious personal issues. We don't know the whole story. And with that, there's a situation that, these suspects at times don't really care if they live or die, unfortunately. And with that being the case, Yeah, it was something else to watch that. I had never seen anything like that before, where he was traveling at such a high rate of speed and was able to maneuver the automobile on PCH, Highway 1, and the heart of Redondo Beach here, and was able to maneuver the car despite the fact that the two right wheels were disabled. And that's what they all they want to do is bring this to a peaceful end, and that's what they're communicating to him. They said, "Hey, give up, please. Hands up. Nobody gets hurt. We'll talk to you. You know, let's keep everything calm here, and let's end this. You know, your life isn't over yet, but we don't want anybody to get hurt at this point. And this is a standoff situation, and we've seen standoffs like this last for hours. Why? Because they don't want to give up. They feel that they're still not in custody at this time." Yeah, they do. And again, some of that, though, Lisa and Steve, is that the officers pull back. They pull back. But there are, and we've seen a few of them up here actually get away, or we hear on the scanner that they lost the suspect. Motorcyclists have an easier time of getting away and evading police, obviously, because of their mode of transportation. But yes, close to 20% do actually get away. And this guy isn't going to get away, but this could last for some time. In a big stretch of PCH, they are shutting down now. In fact, fire crews arriving on scene several blocks of Pacific Coast Highway, both north and southbound, between, it looks like, Palos Verdes Boulevard now and Prospect closed. So traffic is being diverted around this, and this could be a situation that lasts for some time. And run from the police or not. That's exactly right. And this guy isn't, and he's refusing to give up to the Redondo Beach Police Department. Now, again, the lead agency on this, because we keep talking about that, just to sort of educate you how all of these pursuits happen. The lead agency was the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department because it was in their jurisdiction that carjacking or the situation in which the suspect was picked up and followed occurred in their jurisdiction. That's why they are the lead agency. And they stayed on it all the way through LAX, Playa Del Rey, into El Segundo, and they are still here. But then the lead agencies change as you go into different jurisdictions. We saw that in Manhattan Beach when they went into Hermosa Beach. Hermosa Beach Police either aided or they became the lead agency. And it was the Redondo Beach Police Department that really did take the helm and brought this pursuit to an end successfully without hurting anybody, any innocent people out there. But how this will end. That we don't know that. That's that information we're still trying to find out. So at times we hear of a carjacking, 10 blocks away. The guy takes off. They get a call about the carjacking, and then it was at that location where they first intercepted the guy and lit him up. He didn't pull over, he didn't yield, and the pursuit was on. So we're still trying to ascertain that information, specifically where the carjacking took place, how the officers encountered the suspect. Maybe they witnessed it, maybe they were right there, or maybe they intercepted this guy a distance away. And it could have happened an hour before as well. We don't know at this time. Unbelievable, and he was able to maintain control. That was precision driving, especially with two disabled wheels. Two tires completely out here. No question. Yep. Like I said, we don't know if he wants, if this guy wants to live or die. We don't know his history, if he's already a third striker, if he's a parolee. Bottom line, he's not giving up at this time, and the time is on the officer's side. He's not going anywhere. Officers, no question, you can, at least, and you can see some police tape up. So now they're starting to set up a little bit more of a perimeter. As I indicated, if this were to end in an unfortunate way where gunfire was exchanged, and it will only end that way, and I need to make this point time and time again, it will only end that way if the suspect doesn't do what he's told, and he does something that's erratic, that may lead the officers to think that their lives or other people's lives are in danger. Again, shootings, the majority of them, 99.9% of them, only occur because the suspect or suspects do something they haven't been told. They've been told, I should say. And the situation here, he's being told, he's been told, hands up, let's bring this to a peaceful end, and he's choosing not to surrender at this point. A large area has been cordoned off on Pacific Coast Highway. Again, PCH north and southbound, a major north-south thoroughfare here through Redondo Beach into Torrance and Hermosa Beach, blocked between Palos Verdes Drive on essentially the west side of PCH here, because this stretch of PCH sort of runs east-west here, the bend here, and Prospect. You can see all the people, the onlookers in front of Rock and Brews there, and ground media arriving on scene here as well, and this guy just refuses to give up. But once again, time is on the officer's side. They may need to bring in more crisis negotiators. You're exactly right. And they have to, again, they're mindful of the fact that he may have a weapon. They obviously are acting that way because of the situation that unfolded that led to this pursuit, this relatively slow speed pursuit. If you are just joining us, it was at or below speed limits for the majority of the time. It wasn't until it entered Redondo Beach here, fourth or fifth city that this pursuit made its way through in Southern California, did it get really erratic, where he started to get a little more agitated and then started to pick up speed a little bit and was trying to do what he could to evade police. And then once the initial pit maneuver was attempted, that's when he really went out of control, driving backwards, trying to pick up speed, trying to do whatever he could to evade the officers. But the next pit maneuver was successful, and this is where it is on Pacific Coast Highway, the southbound side of Pacific Coast Highway, just past Palos Verdes Drive. Exactly. On Pacific Coast Highway, with all that traffic, opposing traffic, and he could have lost control and went into oncoming traffic from the other side of Pacific Coast Highway, northbound side of PCH, and that could have been a real mess. Fortunately, it didn't happen. And again, they're setting up a perimeter. They've removed those people that were at the corner there, and possibly making their way, some of the officers, into those condominiums to make sure everybody's out, at least on the street side, just in case, just as a precaution. And those condos there on the left would be downrange from those guns that are positioned towards them and the suspect. All of that's being said. Yep, all of that's being said. He said, let's not hurt anybody. Let's all go home safe. Let's bring this to a peaceful conclusion, and we'll work this out down at the station. But clearly he's not listening to the officers at this time. Again, there's a chance that more trained crisis negotiators may be en route just to say the right thing to perhaps to get him out of there. Now, whether or not there's communication between him and anybody else, if you had a cell phone, if that cell phone still has a charge to it, if there's been any communication between him and any people that he's connected with, we don't know, or if he's in touch with law enforcement, that is a possibility. But again, those are questions we can't answer. He did. That's right. Yeah, we just don't know. A lot of times that happens, and he did choose to stay in this general vicinity here, and he was making some loops, some laps through Manhattan Beach and Hermosa, and perhaps he was lost. He's not familiar with the neighborhood, or indeed he could have a connection to the beach cities. They have done, all the officers, all the agencies involved have done all the research they can on the vehicle that he was driving, on any information that they may have on the suspect, to try to make those connections with perhaps friends, loved ones, to try to bring this to an end. They may have zero communication, have no idea what they're dealing with, if he has a gun or not. So both case scenarios could be unfolding. That's right. And I know our assignment desk, our news desk, is working hard to answer some of those questions, because perhaps a PIO from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department can give us some background information, how this all started, when that carjacking actually occurred. I'm working it. I'm working it. All right. Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah. I live blocks from this location. I've lived here all my life, the majority of my life, and know this city, know this agency very well. And they don't get a lot of action like this, but they do at times. And when they do, they're ready to handle it like any agency is. They train for it on a day-to-day basis. Pursuits make their way through the beach cities as well, and they were trained to conduct that pit maneuver. Now, a point on that, though, when you enter a different jurisdiction and you are dealing with a different agency, that agency may be a bit more aggressive than other agencies. You saw when we were making our way through portions of LA, around LAX and Playa Del Rey, there may have been an opportunity and an attempt to bring this to an end through that boxing or a pit maneuver. We didn't see it. Why the Redondo Beach Police Department decided to get aggressive and do it, that's their prerogative, and they did it. Absolutely. They absolutely did. When you look at the number of pursuits that they deal with on an annual basis, and the outcome of some of them in terms of people losing their lives, the Los Angeles Police Department had the highest rate of fatalities in pursuits with innocent people, and because of that, they chose to implement a bit more of a cautious approach. At times, they will be aggressive, but there are other times where they feel that the suspect is just endangering a good portion of the public to a level that it just isn't safe, so they'll pull back. That's right. Own agencies. That's right. Essentially, the LA County Sheriff's Department, they are responsible for policing unincorporated areas of LA County, or maybe some communities that are actually incorporated, but they don't have the resources to have their own police department. Yeah, Playa Del Rey, the part that we showed, yep. And they are led by the Sheriff's Department, yep. Their own agencies. And we saw each of them in play. El Segundo Police, then Manhattan Beach, were running from north to south, down through the south portion of the Santa Monica Bay. That's the way we call it, the South Bay. Then Manhattan Beach Police said they were involved, aiding in the pursuit. It still appeared that the Sheriff's Department was more the lead agency there. But once we got to Redondo here, it seemed like the Redondo Beach Police Department took control, and they were the ones who decided to pit the vehicle. They did attempt the initial pit. Go ahead, Steve. Yeah, there you go. You're absolutely right. Multiple agencies here throughout Southern California. This is Pacific Coast Highway, Highway 1, the most famous highway in all of California, stretching from the southern fringe of the state up the north coast towards the Redwood Forest and this portion of PCH in the heart of Redondo Beach. They're running from the It's completely closed, as I mentioned earlier, between Palos Verdes Drive, that's the street there running left to right, and you can see the fire trucks blocking traffic there in the upper portion of your screen there. That's Riviera Village there, a very busy, popular shopping and dining area. Fire crew standing by just in case. That's PCH. It's closed here at Palos Verdes Boulevard all the way up towards Prospect. And those are just people who are showing up on the corner there of Rock and Brews to get a good view of what's happening. And you can see the sheriff's deputies are still there. Yeah, we certainly do. Traffic being diverted onto Prospect, essentially on the south side of the closure, and PB Drive on the north side of the closure. There's no question. And even when this ends, then there'll be some investigation here at the site where the pursuit came to an end. They'll have to get a tow truck on scene, and that takes some time as well. If we can pedal left a little bit in our helicopter, I'm going to show. I'll show you that back up on PCH. Actually, because the morning rush is over, it doesn't look too bad. Traffic's just being diverted in a northerly direction on Prospect here by the CBS. There's Prospect there, and that's PCH. There's only a half a dozen cars or so having to make their way to turning right there or northbound on Prospect. Not too bad, at least at this point. But when just an hour, if you would have been here an hour or two prior during the morning rush, there's a lot of high schools, elementary, middle schools in the area. This stretch of PCH is just jammed. Not the case now that we've entered the mid to late morning hours here. Again, this pursuit started just after 8 o'clock near Southgate, or an unincorporated area of L.A. County. A carjacking suspect, an alleged carjacking suspect, being pursued here. The details of that carjacking, where it actually occurred and where the pursuit started, we're still trying to ascertain that. If we know anything on the suspect, we're going to bring that information to you. But this pursuit, after winding its way from South L.A., we picked it up first at the 110 Harbor Freeway and Century Boulevard. He made his way due west down Century Boulevard all the way to LAX, made a right turn, picked up Manchester Boulevard, Manchester to the sea, and then made his way south through the beach cities. Unbelievable. If he was panicking, maybe he didn't know he was in reverse and he was meaning to go forward, but it was in rewind there. And sure enough, he made his way for almost a good city block there in Redondo Beach, and that was just prior to the pursuit coming to an end, just a few blocks south of that location. They weren't letting this guy get away, that's for sure. They wanted to. Yeah, it's been about that, almost a half an hour now, the standoff. And again, these guns are trained on the suspect, and they're not going to move from the suspect. They're watching him closely, his every move at this point. No, that's that. What would happen at that point is they would call in SWAT. They'd bring in one of those armored vehicles, a Bearcat, plow it right into the side of his car, so that then he's got essentially nowhere to go. He's even boxed in more with guns trained on him, which is an intimidating factor as well. They will bring in a K9 unit, but at this point that's not going to be useful because all the windows are rolled up, and in certain situations in standoffs where the suspect starts to get agitated and unroll the window and communicate with officers in such a way that canines can be used as well. But they will bring in some other resources to bring it to an end, because you're absolutely right. This is going to come to an end. They want it to come to a peaceful end. They don't want anybody to get hurt, even though the suspect endangered their lives, these officers' lives, at least some of them, and some innocent people driving down PCH and other streets in Southern California this morning. They don't want this guy to get hurt either. They brought it to an end. So far, we're not hearing of any significant injuries with the pursuit or with that carjacking, that alleged carjacking. So they're hopeful just to take this suspect into custody without incident. They are. They're trained for this situation. These officers, when they're out patrolling the streets, but when they're not fighting crime, they're in the classroom. They're always trying to get their craft even better. They learn from past experiences. They share data. They share experiences with different officers, jurisdictions from across the country to get a protocol going to see what the safest way to end a situation is. And these are highly trained officers in the city of Redondo Beach, and they're doing just that. They're patient. They're trying to communicate with this suspect, this carjacking suspect, and bring it to a peaceful end. Dozens. You and I both, Steve, together over the years. We've covered so many of these. Exactly. Literally blocks away from my house. My phone's blowing up. All my friends, my people down there are texting me, trying to find out what's going on. And we don't have much information. He essentially passed within a block of my house. I was pretty amazed how close this pursuit did get. And again, we're not trying to make light of the situation, and we want to make sure that everybody knows this is still a very serious standoff situation. And a perimeter essentially has been set up. And what we talk about that with wildfires, police activity. They set a line around an incident, whether it be a forest that's burning or whether it be a situation in which other people could be in danger. So what they've done is they cleared the street and the area. Yeah, they certainly do. No question. And the perimeter has increased. It's closed. It's closed, but also closed is this major stretch of Palos Verdes Boulevard, and they back people off from Rock and Brew. So making a good point there, Lisa, is that they want to clear the neighborhood the best they can, push everybody back out of harm's way, and they're doing that. The LA County Sheriff's Department there has pushed even the media back somewhat. The first thing I thought of, you mentioned schools on lockdown. What are the closest schools to this location? There is a Catholic school, St. James Catholic School, St. Lawrence, I should say, just a block or so up the street here. Whether or not they've kind of locked those kids down in place, that's unclear at this time, but there's a strong possibility. That's right. Oh, wow. Yep. Yeah, a strong force robbery like that, absolutely. A weapon is involved here, and with that in mind, these officers are taking this very seriously. He looked like a larger gentleman, either white or Hispanic, shaved head, and that point where he did roll down the window and he was just acting so casually, we too thought that perhaps he was getting ready to call it quits, but that was not the case as well. He was making his way through the beach cities, and we did get one unconfirmed report that there was a time when this pursuit made its way through Hermosa Beach. I would say Hermosa is, of the three beach cities, has the narrowest of alleys and streets, the numbered streets there, the courts. Very easy to kind of sneak into an area if officers are trailing far enough behind and lose them. And we believe that that did happen actually for a short time. Now, there was a law enforcement airship up, so they were able to guide officers back, but it did appear for at least a short period of time he may have been able to duck away and evade police patrol cars on the ground through Hermosa Beach for a very short period of time. But this has come to an end. Well, at least the pursuit part of it has the vehicular portion of the pursuit of the suspect, the robbery and the carjacking suspect here on Pacific Coast Highway between Prospect Avenue and Palos Verdes Drive. No, absolutely not. And it could be either scenario in that, the suspects, a lot of times they do come back to neighborhoods they are familiar with, and they think that they have a better chance of evading police, perhaps even ducking into a property that they're familiar with, or they just get lost. They're in an area, they're just trying to evade police, and they don't really have much of a direction or a plan, and they just end up in neighborhoods, and a lot of times that'll go against them because they'll run into a dead end or another location where they just can't get away. And that wasn't the case here, that's for sure. He was able to make his way through the beach cities to this point. It certainly was. He's not. And I'm trying to get some help on the ground here and to get that information. Perhaps we can find that out from the Redondo Beach Police Department, because as you can see, officers trained on him and they have different vantage points of that suspect at this time, and whether or not they've seen any movement from the suspect. If we pan just to the right, it looks like a dark-colored pickup truck has arrived. I told you that perhaps some reinforcements, some heavier duty equipment may be coming in. Those officers may be SWAT officers. You had asked Steve and Lisa, what's the next move? They're not going to just sit here for hours and hours, and they will bring in heavier equipment. Yep. Yeah, I don't see them as of yet, but that was the point I made just a short time ago, that I would be surprised if they're not here soon, because they are a definite good resource in a situation like this, especially if windows, doors start opening up. They're a good line between the officers and the suspects. They are officers. Those canine, they are officers themselves, those dogs. They're brave, brave dogs. And that's why they want to bring this to an end. And Redondo Beach, I mean, they were the ones who took the lead once it entered their city and said, hey, not in our city. We want to bring this to an end quickly. And they tried the pit maneuver a couple of times and were finally successful, even doing it on Pacific Coast Highway, because they wanted to bring it to an end. So with that in mind, they may be a little bit aggressive in trying to bring this to a quicker end, as opposed to letting it last for hours on end, which we have seen. We've seen an entire freeway be shut down for a couple of hours as they've negotiated with these suspects. And again, they're not doing what they're told. They were running from police, these suspects, this suspect as well. They're being told to pull over. They don't. And that's the initial thing. As soon as you get lit up, yeah, exactly. And they want to get away. That's right. And the history. Deep breath, absolutely. Calm, deep breath once these pursuits come to an end, because they're running high as these pursuits are going on. And as soon as they come to an end, they have that adrenaline, they have that energy, and being able to manage it, yeah, and no question. Well, as I had predicted, who's arrived? SWAT. SWAT is here now. They're a heavily armored vehicle. You could see SWAT officers already on scene. And at times it takes some time for those officers, because they're specially trained officers. They may live in Santa Clarita or off in Long Beach and have to come to a scene. But they've arrived here. You could see a couple of them, dressed differently and having more armor. And here he goes. Here goes that armored vehicle here, and it's going to push right up against the vehicle, as I had predicted earlier. That's exactly what's happening here. To intimidate, yes. To provide more support, yes. For the officers, protection to the officers, absolutely. And hopefully bring this to an end. And they're boxing him in, as I'd indicated. Yeah, absolutely. And the windshield on that armored vehicle, obviously bulletproof. He's going to pop open the porthole there on the top, and then he will have a weapon trained on that suspect as well. More artillery here arriving on scene. The officers still that lead patrol car, that Redondo Beach patrol car, still engaged with the back right rear of this this compact car that was being pursued for miles and miles for a couple of hours. And here comes another armored vehicle, as I said, boxing in on both sides. There we go. Now it's closed. And now they have better protection of the situation, even a stronger perimeter or line against the danger. And then you will see some of these lead officers, some of them that were in the patrol cars, back off. Some of them will still stay trained. So now we're going to have bullets pointed or weapons pointed at this guy from every angle, and coming from vehicles that are the most protected vehicles out there in law enforcement, these SWAT vehicles. And it came to a conclusion here, the vehicular part of it on Pacific Coast Highway. That's PCH, a major stretch of it, shut down north and southbound here in Pacific Coast on Pacific Coast Highway between Palos Verdes Drive and Prospect Avenue. You cannot make your way in either direction. A couple schools nearby, Riviera Hall Lutheran School, St. Lawrence Catholic School, Toledo Elementary School, part of the Redondo Beach Unified School District. Close enough that they may be on lockdown. If we tilt the camera up, or modified lockdown. If we tilt the camera up, we'll show you PV Drive. There's the Fat Burger there on the corner. Still some people out there. And if we pan to the right up the street, you could see more law officers, more police officers here showing up. Police tape is up. There's more blocking off streets. A large perimeter now has been set up in this beach community of the South Bay in Redondo Beach. Yeah, right there on the corner of that's Palos Verdes Drive, and yeah, we'll show you the distance between them because they removed the ones on the other side of the street in front of Rock and Brisbane, but there they are. They're still relatively close. So the Redondo Beach Police Department, dates back to 1892, one of the older agencies here in Southern California, and they've been patrolling the beach city here since then. And they do have their own SWAT apparatus. They have canines, a special weapons tactics team of the SWAT department, and they're highly trained and ready to handle anything. And there you can see more members piling out the back end of the one vehicle here. Two of them boxing this suspect in. And whether or not there's been movement from this suspect, that's something we still are trying to ascertain at this point. But as you can see, it looks like the majority of the officers that did have their guns positioned from that patrol car have backed off, and now it's just the SWAT members that are monitoring this. He was, 40. I would say 40 to 45, no question. He was. I think he went faster in reverse than he did going forward during the whole pursuit. That was something else. Yeah, that's what it looks like. It certainly was on Pacific Coast Highway. Can't get much more crowded than that in Redondo Beach, that's for sure. Because we saw opportunities prior to what we saw here in Redondo Beach of officers choosing not to on much less traveled streets through Los Angeles up into Westchester, Playa Del Rey. And it wasn't until Redondo Beach the officers here decided to bring this to an end and to conduct that pit maneuver. And that's the biggest challenge. That's the biggest challenge in deploying those is where that suspect is going to be. And if it's on a long, narrow highway in a desolate area, then it's easy. They know that he's traveling north or southbound on Interstate 5, and they can deploy officers in advance of where the pursuit is and throw those strips out. And they have plenty of time to do so. In a situation like this, in a highly urbanized area off the freeway, it becomes much more challenging. They have to essentially get a feel for what the suspect is doing, and they were able to do that in knowing that this guy has pretty much been traveling in the same direction on a lot of the major thoroughfares from Florence. They vary in length, but they're generally anywhere from 6 to maybe perhaps 8 or 9 feet. They can't be so long that they become cumbersome to toss out. But essentially, they're just these metal spikes that are set to sort of deploy vertically upwards, so that if a vehicle were to drive over them, it's going to do some serious damage and essentially disable the vehicle through flattening those tires. You're right. I mean, obviously, you could take, that thought process and just say, hey, this guy has endangered officers, endangered the general public out there. He's tying up resources. He's shut down a major stretch of Highway 1 here in Southern California, and he's not doing what he's told. That's just not the protocol of these officers. You're absolutely right. And you can see from our picture, and we're trying to get tight up against it, you can see inside the windshield of the SWAT vehicle there on the top of your screen, you could see some movement with one of the officers there. You could see that gun drawn. You see that SWAT officer there right out of the porthole with a good, and he's essentially communicating. He has a mic on the side. He's communicating with other officers as to what he sees, anything unique, if there's any movement, if perhaps he does see somebody through the tinted windows of somebody in the back. But until we see those 4 fingers by the officers, meaning code 4, all clear, we have no idea what we're dealing with. We don't know if there is somebody in the back of that car. We don't know what kind of weapon or weapons that this suspect has at this time. This is just no question. All we know is that this suspect does not want to give up. SWAT has been called out. They've got him blocked in. A perimeter has been set up. PCH is completely shut down for a couple of blocks between Prospect Avenue on the south and Palos Verdes Drive on the north. A couple schools in the area, elementary schools, Catholic schools, possibly on some modified lockdown. They've set up a perimeter and pushed people back far away that if there was an exchange of gunfire, they would be out of harm's way. Because you can see there, these condominiums here are, maybe 15 feet away. The beach cities, the South Bay, is as much as Southern California because of the prime real estate. You can shake hands with drivers going past you on the roadways or with your neighbors because of the prime property, and that's the case here. Everything's close, compacted. Yeah, no question. And again, I'm sure these officers have done everything they can to clear the scene, set up the perimeter or the line around the area of danger, that incident point that could occur. And they continue to negotiate with this guy, and hope that they'll bring this to a safe conclusion. But as time goes on, and again, time is on the officer's side. They are being patient, but there will come a point where they're going to want to bring this to an end. And how they do it? Are they going to crack through the windshield and gain entry there? Perhaps throw some sort of incendiary device in there, bring in a canine, something to put this to an end and bring this guy into 3 hours. They certainly are, because they want to bring this to a peaceful conclusion. They don't want to overly agitate them, although it is intimidating when you see two armored vehicles, two SWAT vehicles, box you in like that with guns drawn. They essentially, it is. I want to show you something And I want to show you something in our picture. If we kind of tilt the camera up just a little bit and push in, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, because they were the lead agency, will push in right there. Those officers will push in right there, are still on scene. Maybe some of the same officers that first picked up this pursuit after the incident, the strong armed robbery, the carjacking that took place near 68th and Central, perhaps at 7:40 this morning. Yeah, absolutely. That was all Redondo Beach. All the pit maneuvers that you saw were conducted in the city of Redondo Beach off of Broadway and over into PCH, a very busy stretch of Pacific Coast Highway. On Pacific Coast Highway, backwards. He was in the right lane in that he was traveling southbound on Pacific Coast Highway in a southerly direction, but driving backwards towards officers that were essentially behind him, and that truck as well that perhaps is trying to be a good Samaritan. But again, that is not a wise thing to do ever. I need to remind everybody that if you hear lights and sirens in a situation like this, a pursuit coming up from behind you, slow down, pull over to the right, give the officers plenty of space. Don't try to be a hero, because again, you could be dealing with a carjacking suspect who has a weapon, who may try to hurt you. That's Redondo Beach down below there, and Redondo Beach Police still the lead agency on this, but you can see that the Sheriff's Department, they're dressed in the tan uniforms there. We'll tilt the camera up and we'll show you, there's the Sheriff's deputies, and they patrol the community of Florence, an unincorporated area of Los Angeles County, so they do the policing there. So they were the agency, the lead agency when this pursuit first started near that intersection of 68 and Central. Whether or not the actual incident occurred there or that's where the suspect was picked up, what time the incident occurred, none of that has been ironed out as of yet. We're still trying to ascertain that information. If the assignment desk gets that for us, I know that we will relay it to you as quickly as possible. But then it was the sheriff's deputies who essentially were the lead agency on this pursuit, even though it made its way into Los Angeles, the city of Los Angeles, LAPD jurisdiction, down Century Boulevard. And for a time, for actually several minutes, I think you agreed, Steve and Lisa, that it looked more like a procession than a pursuit. Very slow moving, below speed limit. A guy was driving very safely. He was stopping at every stoplight. He would go through the red, but only when he knew the intersection was safe and there wasn't any opposing traffic. Then, once he went into the beach cities, that's where we saw other agencies pick up the deal, and that was Manhattan. Exactly right. And here we are on Pacific Coast Highway again. If you might just be tuning in, PCH is shut down completely for a couple blocks in Redondo Beach as this has now become a standoff. That suspect not giving up, choosing not to listen to the instructions of the officers and the SWAT team members. There's the LA County Sheriff's deputies standing by. Perhaps some of those were right there. That is a drone up there now. And whether or not that is a law enforcement drone or it is a law enforcement drone. We are getting confirmation that is a law enforcement drone that is being used for surveillance as well. The suspect likely will not have any idea that it's anywhere near the automobile. So once it moves closer to the automobile, it's going to get a better look. It can look in the back seat, confirm, make sure. See, technology is wonderful now, and this is another example of how with technology these officers are constantly trying to improve their craft of law enforcement, of engaging. And we'll come back to the suspect just to make sure that there hasn't been any action, but there's a. The K-9 units have arrived actually now as well. So now everything is here. Everything's set, everything that they can use at this point. The only thing that may not be here is a psychologist, which sometimes they do bring in to help with the negotiation. So that we may be awaiting that as well. And we're seeing more people being moved out of the way first. They remember all the people that were up by the Fat Burger there on the corner of PCH. They've been pushed back as well. Yeah. And an example of how time is on their side, Lisa and Steve. They're going to clear the area. They're going to bring in all the resources, the canine, the SWAT, the drone. They're going to surveillance the car the best they can, and then they're going to make a decision how they're going to bring this to an end, because clearly it appears now that we're at 10:45. This guy isn't giving up, doesn't want to give up, so they're going to have to take some sort of action to bring this to an end. It can't go on forever. Yep. 7:40-ish. 7:40 this morning near 68th and Central. That's where either the pursuit just started or that's where the incident that led to the pursuit, the carjacking, the strong-armed robbery. But bottom line, that's in the community of Florence, very close to the city of Los Angeles, South L.A. Sheriff's Department picks it up there and essentially follows this guy for miles towards LAX, down Century Boulevard for the most part from the 110 Harbor Freeway, right into the heart of LAX. He made his way on the north side of the complex, picked up Manchester, made his way through the community of Westchester, Playa Del Rey, and then he took the coastal route right along the beach and went through the beach cities. Yeah, and that was just something rather remarkable, something I've never seen. And we talked about it being mostly a slow-speed procession more than a pursuit. But once he started to go backwards, that's when he was moving at the highest rate of speed, I think, for the entire pursuit, perhaps 45 miles an hour or so, down the southbound side of Pacific Coast Highway, coming away from Torrance Boulevard there in the heart of Redondo Beach, the very busy stretch of Pacific Coast Highway, endangering the lives of motorists and officers, and then the pit maneuver. I have a little bit more. I have a little bit more information that I just got here about the start of the incident, and it did start as a carjacking at 68th and Gage. Now we're here, which is very close to Central, so that's just a block away. It was a strong arm robbery, but it doesn't appear any kind of weapon was used. What a strong arm robbery is, yes, weapons can be used in that case, but any type of force with your body, with your arm, physical force could be used, and that may have been the case where this guy, from what I saw, looked to be a pretty big guy in this car here. Either a white or Hispanic male, shaved head, bigger dude, and he actually, could have used his bodily force to push somebody out of the automobile and take that car over. And whether or not it occurred right at 68th and Gage or the pursuit did, that's unclear at this time. Bottom line, that intersection is in Florence, and that's why the Sheriff's Department first picked it up there. Status, yeah, static quo, absolutely, right now. Again, they're clearing the scene the best they can. They're widening the perimeter, the safety barrier, making sure everybody's out of harm's way, making sure all the resources that they need to bring this to an end are in place. A SWAT first, as I said, they're going to call them in, and they arrive quickly. And then the canine units, the drones, all the surveillance equipment they can use. That officer out of the little porthole there on the one armored vehicle there has good vision on the car. He's relaying information to the lead officers, and they're getting a game plan. And once they have that game plan and all those resources in place, they're going to make a move here. What that move will be, perhaps they'll try to break into the car with some mechanism and put some sort of tear gas, some incendiary device in there so that would force that suspect out of there. That would only occur if they are certain that nobody else, somebody innocent, might be inside that vehicle. That has to be cleared first, and once that happens, then some sort of movement will happen. But right now, they're just waiting, a waiting game. They're patient because they have the time to do that. That's possible. That's very possible. Whether or not he had a weapon to do that, that's unclear. We just don't know at this time. But if they were certain he didn't have a weapon, completely certain that that car was clear of anybody except for the suspect, then I think they would have made some sort of movement by now. But they don't know that, and they don't want to put themselves in harm's way or anybody else. And that's what they're doing here in this beach community, Redondo Beach, the southern beach city here in the South Bay, and Pacific Coast Highway down below is completely shut down for a couple of blocks between Palos Verdes Boulevard on the north side and Prospect Avenue on the south side. Okay. We still have 40 minutes, about 35 to 40 minutes. Hey, ER, I'm getting people wondering why we're not streaming this. Can you ask right there? We are.
All right, folks, welcome to the Fox 10 News Now stream, part of fox10phoenix.com. We are still looking at this police standoff, carjacking suspect. This has been hours in the making here, and well, they have him surrounded, but now they are just waiting for more word on what to do. They have the police drone there as well, hoping to get some additional images maybe of the suspect inside the car. All right, folks, wanted to show you the location, kind of an aerial map here, and this is the area right here where the situation is happening. Let's see here with my my mouse. I'll take it big for just a second here, and we can show you. This is the area right here where the situation is happening. Let me just. You can see the aerial look above here, and there's where we are dealing with right here. Let's take you back now to the action. And we see more SWAT team members arriving here at the scene. We're going to be seeing if there maybe in just a little bit they'll be making their move to the car and trying to get that suspect out of the car. We're continuing to watch here live on the Fox 10 News Now stream, part of fox10phoenix.com.
And the LA County Sheriff's Department SWAT team. Yeah, those are great questions, and again, they're trying to find out as much as they can about this suspect, bring in as much in the way of resources that they need. And speaking of which, we just saw this, and Zoreen mentioned this, and she's been pushed back to a point. I saw where she was. She does not have a good visual on this, so it's difficult for her to really get an assessment from her ground shot. She's been pushed back just like the public to get out of harm's way. But there we go. This is the LA. We'll push in. This is the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. It's their SWAT team that is now on scene here as well. And this was the lead agency. These guys, yeah, they're something else. Talk about highly trained, and they're going to bring in this vehicle as well. So clearly they're waiting, as I've been mentioning, more resources. Never can have enough resources on scene. The K-9 units, a game plan, the safety, and then something's going to happen. Absolutely. I mean, we've seen these enough. We see the it's artwork. It's sort of like a musical in that everything sort of comes around, comes into play. There's a process to all of this, and this is part of it, that they bring in these resources, everything that's needed, so that they know that they can bring this to a conclusion without any officers or anybody in the public being hurt. So they're going to position this vehicle right up against the other armored vehicles, and the armored individuals down below here, all the officers down below, what they have here is really something else, and just as an intimidating factor. And then you have to start to think about the suspect in the car itself. If the individual there is indeed getting to the point where, all right, I've had enough of this. Perhaps he's hungry. He may need to use the bathroom. He knows that he's surrounded with some of the most heavily armored vehicles that he's ever seen this up close and personal. He knows he's not going to get out. What his mindset is, no question. And there may be a dialogue with law enforcement as well, either between him and the officers or some people that know him. This has been televised across the city for hours, and we did get a pretty good glimpse of the individual. So I'm sure that there's somebody connected to this man out there that knows him, knows a bit about him, and maybe they've made contact on their own with the officers involved. Okay, so essentially what we're doing here is we're swapping out vehicles. So the Redondo Beach Police Department's pulling back because this was a sheriff's agency initiation of the incident at 68th and Gage in the community of Florence. They're pulling in here, and their vehicle, it's amazing what the weaponry they have. Exactly. Close proximity. That's exactly right. Unsure about that. Because he made contact with the back of the car, they may have to leave it there as part of the investigation. That's possible in situations like that. We'll have to wait and see. I would have thought that they would have removed that car already if they were going to. Here comes the other armored vehicle. Yeah, all those Redondo Beach patrol officers and the patrol cars backed off once those two armored vehicles from the city arrived on scene. And this is the second one. Here's the LA County Sheriff's second armored vehicle that's coming up on scene too. But we still have the one trained, the officer trained on the suspect there out of the porthole of one of the first armored vehicles that arrived. SWATs. Yes, the SWAT is the best, special weapons and tactics, and they are special weapons and highly trained officers. These SWAT officers are down below here so that they can handle a situation like this. A standoff of this pursuit suspect that's wanted in a carjacking, a strong armed robbery. Unclear if he has a weapon. There was some talk that perhaps not, and he just used his force. He's a big guy to take over the driver of the car that he carjacked. That information still has not been confirmed at this time, but this is yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You have to in any situation and with any stop, any random traffic stop. Any stop is not ordinary. It's not routine. You could be dealing with somebody like what we saw last week in Whittier, and that's how every officer has to handle a stop or a situation like that. From benign as a traffic stop, from somebody running through a stoplight to a situation like this. And this is a good point just to remind everybody, if you do get pulled over, these officers, they're highly trained. They're out there protecting us. If you get pulled over, pull over, hands at 10 and 2 in clear vision of the officers. Wait till they command you to unroll the window. Do what they ask you to, and do it in a very guarded and slow way so that they know that you're on their side and you're going to cooperate with them and give them any information that they need. To protect us, to keep these bad guys off the street. This is a bad guy, allegedly. He strong-armed a person out of their car and took it. A person frightened beyond, I'm sure, possibly on their way to work or school. And he took over that individual and took their car. I couldn't tell if there was actually engagement at this point. It was very close. Now, watching this, you guys ask, is something getting ready to happen? Perhaps, because you can see the officers are organizing themselves. They have their weapons, all the equipment they need to possibly approach the vehicle and gain access to it to bring this to an end. They're communicating. They've trained for this. And they're moving that car, that patrol car. It looks like they're getting ready to do something. Can you get the license plate, Vince? All right. Go ahead there, Jeff. All right. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Is everybody still here? Let's get this guy.
All right, folks, you are continuing to watch here live on the Fox 10 News Now stream of this police standoff that has been just happening for hours now, including that pursuit that was very slow at times. You know, the fastest we saw the suspect going in the car is when he was actually in reverse. We're continuing to watch here live as SWAT team members getting closer to the car where the suspect is still in. We saw moments ago the police drone being used as well.
Oh, he's getting out. He's getting out, Vince. The door open. Tilt up. All right, suspect, if you guys are watching this online, suspect, for whatever reason, after this long standoff, is deciding to give up. He's doing exactly what he's told, even though he didn't for a couple of hours. Taking off his shirt, hands up. And he's being directed by these SWAT officers. I think he was intimidated enough, perhaps getting impatient, needed to get out of the vehicle, so they are directing him to walk backwards, not facing him. And we'll get in a better position here to get this, but this looks to be K-9 standing by there, as you can see, guns drawn. The most highly trained SWAT team, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department here. And this is going to come to a conclusion, we believe here, as this suspect that was being pursued from the community of Florence near South LA all the way to this point in Redondo Beach. And suspect is in custody. Not a code 4 yet. We're going to watch as these officers clear the vehicle, make sure nobody else is in harm's way. Not until we see 4 fingers. Code 4 will this officially be over. Suspect in custody. Bigger guy, as I had described him. A white male, shaved head, white male or Hispanic. And he's been taken into custody here in Redondo Beach on Pacific Coast Highway down below here. It looks like once the LA County Sheriff's SWAT team arrived on scene, he didn't want to have anything to do with that. So now what they're doing is they're clearing the vehicle that was pursued from Florence through South LA, over towards LAX, Westchester, Playa Del Rey, into El Segundo, Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach, and Redondo Beach, and ending here in Redondo Beach on a busy stretch of Highway 1, the highway that stretches from the southern fringes of the state all the way to the Redwood block, north and southbound sides here between Palos Verdes Boulevard and Prospect. Fortunately, coming to a successful and peaceful end. We are now in a Code 4 situation. The vehicle has been cleared. The threat is over. That man will be taken to jail. He is going to be written up on a number of a number of violations, including the most significant, the armed robbery and carjacking, and the strong armed robbery. Whether or not a weapon was inside that vehicle, we didn't see one being taken out. One was not taken from the suspect, and he's going to be on his way to jail here. And they're going to try to clear this activity and reopen PCH as quickly as possible. All right, this is through. Thank you guys for watching on Fox 11 and our Facebook page, our website foxla.com. We will.
Right there, so you see this coming to a peaceful ending. Wow, what a marathon session this was, but fortunately no officers were injured. That is the good thing. Let's show you while you're still with us here on the Fox 10 and News Now stream. Let's show you how they were able to trap the suspect there. We'll take you there moments ago. Take a look at this.
You can see how dangerous that could be, and that's the last thing we want is for anybody to get hurt. We're on PCH. We're down into the Torrance area now, and that will be push into that patrol car. I'm not sure who this is. If that is Redondo Beach. Another pit. Here goes again. That's better. We're in Palos Verdes. Okay, this is going to end now, I believe. They've got to get behind them. I'm not certain why they don't. There we go. Finally, they lodged the vehicle.
So that was the takedown right there, and then it lasted a whole nother hour with this standoff. We're going to take you now back out live to live aerials to show you what's going on there. Just wanted to show that to you guys. If you were coming into the stream and wanting to see a little bit of that chase, we're going to clip it as well on our Fox 10 Phoenix YouTube page. And if you haven't already done so, now would be that perfect time. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. That way you'll always be in the know when we're covering breaking news from anywhere across the country. We've got you covered. You are seeing many agencies there and different SWAT team members coming to this area. Watching live here on the Fox 10 and News Now stream, part of fox10phoenix.com.